So, we said we want to work on our thumb. So we have our thumb in the proper position, right? So it almost looks like you're holding a cup, right? See that? So we take that and we anchor it to the pickup, right? So now we're going to reach across. We pivot on the thumb and we go as far as we can just to stretch out, reach across, come back. Reach across, come back. If you can see this from this angle, my thumb is actually moving back and forth like this. Now, this brings us to our next step, which is going to be striking the string with the finger. Okay? So as we play with our first finger, we're only going to use the first one. We're going to start with one just to get a sound. Now, there have been great players who have played with one finger. James Jamerson is one. He played with one finger. And he did what was called the hook. So he did a back and forth kind of motion with this. But for us, we're just going to use the basic idea right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger on our string. And as you can see, my thumb is still anchored to the pickup, right? It's right there. My finger is right there. And as I strike the string, I come back to a resting position on my thumb. Okay? This is called a rest stroke. Okay? As opposed to a free stroke. A free stroke is where your finger strikes the string and comes up into the air. Now, for us, in the beginning, the best thing to use is a rest stroke. So each time we strike the string, our finger comes back to a resting position. Okay? So as we play the E string, our resting position is going to be our thumb when our finger is anchored on the pickup. So I strike the string, come back to the thumb. When I go to the A string, I strike the string, I come back to the E string. My finger always comes into a resting position. This also helps to serve to mute my E string, because if I pluck, I get all the ringing continues to happen if I do a free stroke without it muting. But by having my finger come back, it helps to kind of kill the overtone series that are kind of happening. Okay, so I strike, return. Now, if you can see my right hand, now this is also another big faux pas that a lot of us do, is that when we approach our strings, we go with a very hard finger. A lot of us come in and we go like that, and we don't want to do that. We want to actually be able to kind of come in and let the finger kind of bend. Think of it like a paintbrush, more so than a pick. In this case, the finger has a certain amount of flexibility, and we control our tone with the amount of flexibility that we have. So as I strike the string, you can see how my finger kind of bends back a little bit. Good. Your finger should be doing the same at this time. So we're going to touch the string. We let the finger bend a little bit, come back to the resting position on the thumb. Let's do that again. So we put our finger out, touching the string. We draw across, resting on the thumb. Again, draw across, resting on the thumb. Now, when we go to the A string, we're going to do the same thing. We pluck across, rest on the E. Draw across, rest on the E. One more time. Draw across, rest on the E. We're going to go to the D string. So as I'm going to the D string, my thumb is pivoting. I'm pivoting forward so that I always, when I'm anchored to the pickup, I have this position that's almost like a U in here. I don't know if you can see this. See how there's like a U in here? Good. So I'm kind of bridging across. That's kind of what I went back to when I did this. So as I draw across, because if you go like this, and this is, again, another tendency we have to do is we push down on the thumb and we crunch it up there. We don't want to crunch the thumb. We want the thumb to stay straight. Remember, it's like you're holding a glass. So while the thumb is out, you have a nice position with your hand. We're drawing across. We're coming across. We're closing in on the A string. So we're resting in that rest position. When we come to the G string, again, so our U has gotten bigger. We draw the G, and then we land on the D. Again, resting position. Again, my finger is still bending back as I go. Now, this was all with one finger. That was my first finger. So what I want to do is I want to incorporate my second finger.